So now we're introduced to Lord Jamar, or Brand Nubians, right? Respect. But he's not a pioneer, number one. Number two, he's not from the Bronx, he's from New Rochelle. So I don't know why they included him in this to try to tell us what it was in the 70s. That makes no sense.
All right, this is ridiculous. On point one, Lord Jamar is not a pioneer. Okay, neither is Colon. Yet here he is trying to tell us about the history of hip hop. So you don't have to be a pioneer to have an opinion or present facts. Colon is not a pioneer himself. So why is he talking? Point two, Lord Jamar wasn't there. I'm putting there in quotes. Nearly 100% of what Colon is saying is not based on his personal experience. It's based on interviews and research he's doing. So it doesn't matter that he was in the Bronx. And I'm not sure how long he lived there and when it was. I probably lived in Brooklyn for longer than he lived in the Bronx. So what? He wasn't at the parties at 1520 Sedgwick Avenue. He wasn't at the Plaza Tunnel, and he wasn't at the Hevelo. But here he is telling us what was going on at those parties. Okay? He wasn't there. And so trying to exclude someone based on, well, you weren't there, or you're not a pioneer, is bullshit. And coming from Colon, it's hypocrisy. All right, in this version, Colon says nothing about Melly Mel. In the last versions, he claimed Melly Mel was the first MC. And then he said he got that wrong, and he claimed Kid Creole was the first MC. I don't know where he's getting this concept from. I mean, it's really just ridiculous for someone who's supposed to be a historian of the culture not understand the problem with claiming Melly Mel or Kid Creole was the first MC. Okay, what were the other people before that? They weren't MCs. Melly Mel was the first to coin the term MC. All right, there were plenty of MCs before Melly Mel.
So they show Coke Rock, they show DJ Hollywood, and then there's a flyer that's comes in and out real fast, and it shows DJ Junebug on the flyer. Hollywood mentored Junebug, right? But Junebug, make no mistake about it, was one of the best DJs in the Bronx at that time. He was the house DJ for the legendary Disco Fever, and Junebug was Puerto Rican.
Yeah, that's the problem with trying to debunk a trailer. Man, come on.
What would you get out of some Jamaican toast? What is that? I've never heard of a rapper use a Jamaican toast or a Jamaican fleur as a rhyme. I never heard of it, and I don't know where that myth came from.
All right, so in this version, Colon leaves out his rebuttal to the Busy Bee clip. In one of his last versions, he doesn't have a rebuttal. He just says that he finds it interesting that Busy Bee is rocking dreads. So what? Is Colon trying to say, oh, he's wearing dreads? That means that when he started rapping, he must have learned it from Jamaicans, and now he's wearing dreads, and that's the evidence? Or is he trying to say that, oh, he's wearing dreads, therefore he should be on code with the Jamaican myth, the myth that Jamaicans taught Black Americans how to rap? Is that what he's saying? Man, get this crazy bald head dude out of here, for real. Yeah, he was right to leave that out because he was disrespecting Busy Bee, an actual pioneer, telling his story. The fuck out of here.
The roots of hip-hop being Jamaican, absolutely false.
So for Debbie to make a claim like that, absolutely false, clearly shows that either she has not done the research.
All right, so here Colon is disrespecting Debbie D, who is a pioneer, a historian, a scholar, a teacher, okay? Is Colon gonna bring any evidence that refutes what she says? No, of course not. He's gonna use trick knowledge.
Either she has not done the research that is clearly there, the sound system clash culture from Trenchtown in 1952. This is already documented history. These are facts.
So there's the trick knowledge. Debbie D says that hip hop does not come from Jamaican culture. And what does Colon do? He acts like he's refuting that with facts. Yes, it's facts that Jamaicans established the sound system culture in the late 40s and early 50s, but show the influence on hip-hop. Show it. What's the connection?
And that's where it all started.
The story starts in Jamaica after World War II, where the local musicians at the dance halls were being replaced by the sound systems and their operators as a cheap source of entertainment. These sound systems were treated like royalty. They had bombastic and braggadocious names like Sonic the Champ, V-Rocket, Admiral Cosmic, King Edwards, and then later on came Duke Reid the Trojan and Sir Coxson's Downbeat. The music of the time period that was played in Jamaica was mainly American rhythm and blues from the New Orleans area that featured artists like Louis Jordan, Sonny Knight, Big Joe Turner, Dave Bartholomew, and others way too numerous to mention. Originally, these sound systems were wired up outside shops in downtown Kingston to attract trade for their businesses. Quite a few of the sets, as they were called back then, were owned by Jamaican merchants of Chinese descent. One of these shop owners was Tom Wong, who had just named his set Tom the Great Sebastian in 1949.
We have the first sound systems in Kingston: Tom the Great Sebastian, Cox and Dodds, Duke Reeds, King Edwards. Now here's a real cultural influence. What were they playing? Black American rhythm and blues. There was no Jamaican music industry at the time. They were playing exclusively black rhythm and blues. Part of the competition was being able to go to the US and record shop and bring them back to Jamaica.
Back in Jamaica, the music scene was about to change in a major way. By 1958, two of the island's most competitive sound systems were Duke Reid the Trojan and Sir Coxson's Downbeat. Both Reid, Coxsson and other sound system men were regularly going to the United States trying to find those exclusive tracks to play against one another. But as rock and roll and the sound of Nat King Cole and Sam Cooke were taking prominence, it was at this time that a young Edward Seaga, who decades later went on to become a Jamaican Prime Minister, set up his own record label in order to recreate the New Orleans sound. Between 1959 and 1962, Coxsson, Duke Reid, Prince Buster, Leslie Kong and Chris Blackwell had also followed suit and formed their own record labels. Some of the homegrown talents: Laura Aiken, Theo Bedford, Derry Morgan, Alton Eddy, the Folks Brothers, and the Scatterlights. With this culmination, the Jamaican music industry had finally arrived.
So show any type of cultural connection like that in reverse. All right? Don't just say, oh, there were sound systems in Jamaica. So that had to be what sparked sound systems in New York. All right? Jamaican sound systems did get established in the UK, but you have to think about this. You have Jamaicans playing American music. You can see that there would be an issue with that culture establishing itself early on in the United States, where Black Americans were already playing their own music. The first mobile DJ system was said to have been started in the 1940s by Ron Diggins. And all around the US, teenagers were going to sock hops. And the two turntables was a known technique for radio DJs. The point is that not all mobile DJ systems come from Jamaica. Now, if you want to say that Jamaicans sparked the mobile systems in the US, in Brooklyn, show it.
Hello, yes indeed. My name is DJ Boogeyman. I was known WC, Mr. C, Mercy B.
Okay.
We go back a long way in New York City.
Okay.
Like my man said, all the way back since we was 15 years old, coming up in the Bronx. Bronx is number 1, second to none.
Right. So that's like 1970. What was it like back in 1970?
Oh, back in 1970, it was party time. All the time.
Party time all the time. Hey, I want to know, when did you start DJing?
Well, I started DJing in the South before I came to New York.
Right. How old was you?
Oh man, 15.
15?
Ain't about going back.
Okay.
I was down south. I was sweeping. I used to sweep my mother and my father nightclub every day.
Right. So you did your music collection at 5, but you started DJing in your teens sometime.
Yeah.
In your teens. And what was y'all doing? Like, was it 2 turntables? What was one?
Turntables.
Two turntables?
First, I started out with one.
One.
You know, just to see how the record sound married to this record.
Right.
That's how I first started.
Who started the 2 turntable thing? Do you know? Like,
we did. We all did. That's all, because see, we had a DJ down there playing already in our nightclub.
Okay.
Yeah, his name was Big J. That's his name. Big J. He used to pull his disco equipment down, you know, in a U-Haul trailer behind his van.
Right.
Yeah, all the girls. I think he was kind of gay. I don't know.
Okay.
But all I know is he used to rock for us. Yeah, he used to rock from Hereford to Edenton to Elizabeth City to Norfolk, Virginia. That was his name. P. Ridge, Bert T. He used to rock all over down south.
Okay. I want to hear more about you saying y'all started with 2 turntables?
No, with one.
Right. You started off with one, but then the 2 turntables. Who started that?
Big J.
Oh, Big
The
J.
DJ that was down south.
Okay.
Then when I seen that, then I bought me one.
Oh, okay.
Bought me 2.
You bought 2.
Yeah.
Seeing what he did, you started with 2.
Yes.
Do you know anybody in the Bronx that was doing 2 turntables? What was y'all doing? Was you blending the song like one from the
Taking
other?
from one to the other. Yeah. Wasn't even no mixes.
It wasn't no mixing?
Working with an amp, something like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you would switch it from the phono to auxiliary.
Okay.
To transfer over to your other turntable.
So it was it a crossfade at that time? Crossfade?
Wasn't even mixing. That did everything.
So, okay, so you saw somebody down south doing 2 turntables.
Yeah.
And then when you came to New York, you started doing 2 turntables.
Yeah.
You or Mario, who started first?
We all did. Well, we all was a part of it. See, we all bought this system together. Okay. Let the story be told.
Okay.
No one person never bought it. But I said the hell with it. Since he didn't want to do right, I said, I'm moving. That's when I moved to Amityville. That's the first time I met her.
Okay. Was you giving shout outs on the microphone? Was you talking while the thing was playing?
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you say? Like,
good afternoon, New York City. This is the Boogeyman.
The Boogeyman.
And I'm right here.
Okay, so you was Boogeyman back then?
I was Boogeyman, yeah. I was Mr. C back then. Mercy B.
Okay.
And then I changed it to Mr. Big Stuff.
Okay.
I had a lot of names.
Was you talking like in between the songs or while the song was playing?
I used to talk in between while the song was playing. More like narrating.
Did you know anybody else who was doing that?
Nobody wasn't doing it.
Nobody else was doing that.
Opinion rap music began on Jamaica in the 1960s. To the editor, it's official, rap music is in the mainstream. News story, May 16th, is inaccurate on the origin of rap music. Rap music originated on the island of Jamaica in the early 1960s and not in black ghettos of the United States. In the early 60s, when Jamaican sound system operators had only a single turntable, they would employ the services of a slick talking, rhyme every time person on the microphone. These slick talkers, also called chanters, would fill in between records so that the dancers would not wander away from the floor. The chanters quickly realized there was more money to be made talking or chanting on a record than talking between records, so they started recording. The first rap record was the song Skaying West, released in 1963 by a group calling itself Sir Lord Comic and the Cowboys. Other rappers, such as King Stitt the Ugly One, Euro and Big Youth, to name a few, quickly followed. Rapping has been firmly entrenched in Jamaican music since the early 60s. Black American musicians have practiced rap only since the early 80s. Lawford Baxter St. Paul, May 31, 1988.
This is the same type of poor scholarship and propaganda practiced by Colon. The two things are similar, so it must have come from Jamaica. It couldn't have come from Black America. No, it had to come from Jamaicans.
For me, if there was a rapper, I think Louis Jordan was the first rapper. To me, you know?
You right historically to say Louis
Yeah, if there was a rapper at the time, because in my time I never know of the rappers. You see me? So, as far as I'm concerned, if there was a rapper at the time, it'd have to be Louis Jordan or maybe Louis Prima. Louis Prima was a white man. But this Louis Jordan youth is something else, you know? Because what I just did a while ago, he did those type of stuff. And he take up his hand, blow this tenor saxophone, blow some wicked tune, man. I tell you this, man. He's the best.
What?
In that farm.
Did you ever get to reason with like a Count Machuki and get from him to see who was his influences?
No, I never hear who was Count Machuki influence.
So, the Monday, I was passing by Beverly's record shop and I saw the magazine, stand a magazine marked Jive. And I took up that magazine and I Crip Street and I said something where that amused me and I paid for it. And from there on, I was able to start making my own Jives too. And the first one I was to kind out for myself was, you dig my jive if I'm real cool and very much alive. Everybody around town know I'm a chook, so reach my chick, and when it comes to jive, you can't beat me the brick no stick. And that went down with the fans handsomely.
Machuki is widely considered the first true toaster. He was raised in a family that had more money than others, so he grew up with 2 gramophones in the home and was exposed to swing, jazz, bebop, and rhythm and blues. He says that he got the idea to begin toasting over records after hearing American radio. He told this to Mark Gorney and Michael Turner as they recounted in a 1996 issue of Beat magazine. I was walking late one night, about 2:45, somewhere in Denham Town, and I hear this guy on the radio, some American guy advertising Royal Crown hairdressing. You see, you're drying up with this one, Johnny, try Royal Crown. When you're downtown, you're the smartest guy in town. When you use Royal Crown and Royal Crown make you the smartest guy in town, that deliverance. This guy sound like a machine, a tongue twister. I heard that in 1949, on one of them states stations that was really strong. I hear this guy sing out pon the radio and I just like the sound. And I say, I think I can do better. I'd like to play some recordings and just jive talk like this guy.
The sound system clash culture from Trenchtown in 1952. This is already documented history. These are facts.
Now, what I've been told is the first Jamaican sound system was King Charles in Queens. It would have been 1970 or 71. It's worth watching the whole Founding Fathers documentary to see where he fits in.
1968, 69, King Charles came to Queens, East Elmhurst. Lived at his aunt's house. Then he just had a couple of speakers, really. After that, he moved in a couple of years on 104th Street. And there, he started to build a system. Basically, even then, he was playing music for fun.
King Charles had a powerhouse system, and he hired the best young talented DJs in his neighborhood to help deliver his music.
King Charles. This is the man, King Charles. He put me on Falk. You see this in Florida, fuck you. I still love you though. Spent every dime. Used to take his wife's money to buy fucking equipment. He was the first man to have Crown amplifiers, the first man to have fucking a heavy ass Macintosh amp that weighed 150 pounds. At the end of the night, we used to draw straws. Who with two people would carry the fucking amp?
Charlie had the system.
And then he
dominated everybody and everyone. End of story.
So the King Charles come from Jamaica and start the mobile and disco DJ culture in Brooklyn and Queens. You know, like a different version of the Kool Herc myth. Or did he show up and fit into an existing DJ culture?
They go clubbing. Back then it was a house party. House party, and it was after the house party, go right. That's what I used to do.
My mother used to give block parties when she was younger, and then she would be in the room looking at the people dancing, and listening to the music, all different types, Otis Redding, Supremes. And when I grew up, I grew up liking music. I started taking her stereo equipment, taking it apart, and then putting it back together and stuff like that.
I remember my sister used to go to a lot of parties when I was even younger. So they used to play, the same kind of music, and she used to go to the parties and dance and whatnot. Because she was a good dancer, so she used to come back and tell us, how they were doing in the parties and the dances and stuff like that.
Go to the house parties with my sister, my older sister Deborah, and she would always be like worried about if I'm gonna go off again. Get up, do the thing, break it down for the people, jump up in the air, flip on the floor, do a twist or something like that, and she was like, "Oh, here come the circle." So I've done that since I was young. I guess I gotta say around. Say 10, maybe 1970 really when I got loose. But I've always been into music, always into records. Even when we was in elementary school, I used to put on the caliphone and I was the DJ in the class,
When I came to New York, I used to go to parties, but I've always been a wallflower. I was tall, I was towering over everybody, and I never liked to dance. So I'd always gravitate toward the music. And I would start picking records out, and I noticed what would make people party. And I would start playing music at the party. Even though it's one turntable, I'd be in charge of music. One day they had a Grandmaster Flowers football game at Yankee Stadium. And since I was living here, I've been living here 34 years. I was living here, and they had a little bar up the street with a nice little back room. And I thought, why don't I give a party? Because everybody was giving a party after the game. So I was giving a party and I couldn't find a DJ. I got the place and everything, but I forgot to book a DJ. All the DJs were booked up. And so these guys, they call themselves Rip and Cliff. They used to play for their job parties and stuff like that. They helped me hook up 2 turntables, and they had sort of like a mixer which was little knobs. Turning from one turntable to the other, something like that. I went out and bought me some turntables and equipment, and went and got the top 20 records. And I played right at this club right at the street here. And the place was jam-packed. And I played in there, and they were partying until 7 o'clock the next morning. So the guy gave me the back room for every Friday night, eventually every Saturday. And eventually I bought the club, my club, Peace Line.
I wanted to hang out with DJ Jones, which I did in the Bronx, and he taught me all the necessaries. I mean, he had the latest equipment, he had the biggest speakers.
When I started getting this sound system in 1970, right after I did my first little party, and it was so successful, and a friend of mine gave me a name. They all called me Pete Jones, and a friend of mine, the first time I've ever heard a DJ and a person's name. The guy said, Pete DJ Jones. So he called me the DJ, disc jockey. So everybody coming out then saying DJ this and DJ that. I don't like patting myself on the back, but I think I influenced a lot of you guys.
It was like he was my mentor, and he was like a cherry on my ice cream. He was just great. You understand? And he took time with you and said, well, this is the way you
you do it. You know what I mean? If you said, want to learn how to mix the record, you say, well, usually I mix this, or I mix that, or I mix this. And you also taught me personally about programming your music, always knowing what to play behind each other. If you got this record, then you have 3 other records that you can play behind. Whatever the crowd needs.
In the 70s, they had a meat crisis, a beef crisis, shortage of beef. Beef was sky high, and the restaurants were going under, big time restaurants. And so you had these guys like M. Morton Hall, Winston Sanders, 3 of a Kind Plus One, and the SOBs, groups like that. They would get together and they'd go down and they'd talk to the owner of a restaurant about giving a party there. They didn't believe it. They thought they were crazy at first. They said, what band are you going to have? We're going to have a DJ. You mean you're going to charge people to come in the door to listen to somebody play records? They said, yeah. They didn't believe it, right? So about 10 o'clock, they'd push all the tables to the side, come and set up a bar, and then people would be lined up coming in. The Jamaicans probably had some sound systems back in the day, but nobody was out on the circuit. The Jamaicans probably had some sound systems back in the day, but nobody was out on the circuit. The Jamaicans probably had some sound systems back in the day, but nobody was out on the circuit. Nobody was out for hire because the top DJs, me, Plummer, Warrior, and Flowers, we had the market sold up for jobs back in the 70s and 71. Later on, they had other DJs, they got their systems together. But I didn't hear of any system other than Flowers and my boy, Deacon Rock the House. I would say Flowers is one of the best and the fastest DJs. Flowers probably #1, and then you can probably Grandmaster Flash.
There's different start dates for Grandmaster Flowers between 65 and 68. Show anyone saying that Grandmaster Flowers got the idea from Jamaican sound systems. Show the evidence, show it.
Legend has it that Johnny Flowers started spinning records as early as 1966 while in junior high school. Some say it was earlier than that. What will probably never be known is where he learned the art of blending songs together. Coven told me how he heard stories of his Uncle Johnny doing parties for the Tomahawks, who at one time were the biggest gang in Brooklyn. The Flowers family migrated to Brooklyn from South Carolina in the early 50s, were a musical bunch. My mother and aunts and uncles all played musical instruments. Flowers' nephew Coven Flowers told me in a phone interview.
Well, let's see, what is disco?
What is it to you?
Disco to me is more or less a life for now. And I feel that the field is quite overflowed with quite a bit of DJs, and I don't know how long it's gonna last or anything, but I try to be the best at what I do, and it's been a more or less of a lifetime job instead of a hobby like it is to most people.
Well, where is disco going, and is mahogany like a really new concept in cabaret?
Mahogany, I wouldn't consider it as like a discotheque type club. It's more of a gala type club with disco added, I would say.
Disco as an exotic flavor.
Yeah.
Cameron Flowers, who most of us have heard of and seen, but this is he, the man behind disco, primarily in New York, coming out of that sweet place, Brooklyn.
Where's an interview with any of these early Brooklyn mobile DJs saying that they got it from Jamaicans, saying they learned how to DJ from Jamaicans, saying they decided to battle because they saw the Jamaicans battle and they wanted to do the same thing? How come it's not called sound clash? It's called battling. There's a long history of talent shows, contests, battle of the bands. It's really easy to see one thing that looks similar to another and then claim there's a connection without proving it. Show the connection.
In 1971, I won DJ of the Year at the Martin Luther King Pavilion. We had a battle, had about 6, 7 DJs. In 74, 1972, I was presented DJ of the Year award at the Hilton, across from Madison Square Garden. No, the Sheridan.
Okay.
Downtown Sheridan.
Yeah, right. 33rd
by
Street.
Melba Moore.
Really?
Yeah. In 1973, at Bonnie Google's, I was awarded DJ of the Year by Faith, Hope, and Charity and Crown Height Affair.
The myth of Kool Herc bringing sound system culture from Jamaica is withering away. It's being debunked, especially by his own interviews, his own words. And so Colon has been shifting to Brooklyn as being the place where Jamaican sound systems influenced hip-hop. Brooklyn, not the Bronx. And in that discussion, he told a blatant lie. It's gone now. It's erased. He claimed that DJ Kool D was influenced by Jamaicans to start DJing. I have actually asked Kool DJ D, was he inspired by Jamaican DJs? And he said no. He said he was influenced by Pete DJ Jones and Grandmaster Flowers. Colon is a liar. And without substantiating any of these claims, he owes Debbie D an apology.
So for Debbie to make a claim like that, absolutely false, clearly shows that either she has not done the research that is clearly there, the sound system clash culture from Trenchtown in 1952.